In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a stencil portrait similar to this one using Adobe Photoshop. To start off with, you need a portrait of yourself. So here is the portrait that I'm going to be using. You'll notice over here in the Layers panel that the background layer is locked. If that's the case for your image, go ahead and click on that little padlock there to make it disappear. And you'll notice that it has converted from a background into layer 0. Next, I'm going to use a selection tool to draw a selection around myself. There are many tools that you can use. The one that I'm choosing to use is the Quick Selection tool. Use the bracket keys next to P on the keyboard to change the size of your selector. And go ahead and select your portrait. And I'll just do a rough one pretty fast, and then I'll go back and refine it a little bit. And with this technique, it doesn't have to be super refined. So I'm going to make my brush a little smaller, and hold down the Alt key, which is minus, to subtract some of that, which I don't want. And then I'll try to recapture my arm there. Okay, so now I have my portrait selected. If I were to hit delete right now, I would delete my portrait, and that's not what I want. I want to delete the background around my portrait. So what I'm going to do is go up to Select, Inverse, which will select the background instead of me. Now on the keyboard, I will simply hit the Delete key, and there we go. So Control D to deselect, or you can go to Select, Deselect up here on the top menu. Now you do need a lot of space around yourself so that you can have nice patterns in the background. You might have to go to Image, Canvas Size, and add more space if you don't have enough area. Now I'm going to do the threshold technique. So down here in the Layers panel, I will click the New Fill or Adjustment layer and choose Threshold from the list. And if you're lucky, when you move the slider around, your clothing and your face will look good at the same setting. But that doesn't work out for this image. I think that looks nice for my jacket, but it looks terrible for my face. So what I'm going to do is combine two images together, and more than likely you are going to have to do this also. So I'm going to take my portrait layer and make a copy of it. Then I'm going to go back to Threshold and go to this little side menu here and merge down. So what that did was took that threshold and merged it with the portrait underneath it. Now I'm going to turn that off for a minute so I can see my portrait again. Click my portrait, add another threshold, and this time I'll use one where my face looks good. So maybe something like that. So I want to be able to see my nose and my eyes and my jawline and that type of thing. So I like that. So now I'll do the same thing with the side menu, pop it open and go to Merge Down. Now what I want to do is combine those two images together. So to do that, what I'm going to do is turn on the eyeball for my first layer, click it, and then get the eraser tool and just erase through to reveal the one that I want. And want my hair a little darker here on the sides. And I want to bring the chain on my necklace out, so I'll bring that back a little bit. Okay, well, everybody's portrait will be a little bit different, but I like the way that looks. So now I'm going to merge these two together into one layer. So side menu, merge down. Now I'd like to get rid of all of the white, so I will click on this selection tool again and choose the magic wand tool, and I'll double check that this checkbox right here where it says contiguous is not checked. So that means when I click on the white area, every white area in the whole image will also be selected. So I'll just push delete on my keyboard, and now all of the white is gone. So I'll go to select, deselect, or Control D with the keyboard. Now I will make a new layer and put that on the bottom, and I'm going to start off, here's my swatches, and if your swatches menu is not open, you can just find it under window, and that's where all of the menus are. And if you don't have a lot of nice colors here, you can pop open this side menu and choose from any of these color combinations that you like. But I think this is an adequate number of choices, so I'll go ahead and stick with this. I'm going to do some really different colors than my first one, so I'm going to choose something crazy like this burnt orange color. And I can just get the paint bucket, which is grouped together with the gradient tool, and click the background. Now I'm going to make another layer, and I'll go to my brushes. So there are 3 types of brush tools. So this is the one I want, just the regular brush tool, not the history brush tool that is a little bit below it. So with the brush tool selected, I'll go up here and open up my brush choices. Now there are other instructions for loading brushes. I've already loaded the brushes that I want. So there's general brushes, dry media, etc. And I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom. I loaded Technofloral, watercolor, and floral brushes. So I'm going to start off with some of these watercolor brushes here. And if you can't see a preview of what the brush looks like right here, you can just click this little gear right here and have it make sure that brush tip is checked, and then you'll be able to see what it looks like. So that looks like a really interesting brush right there. And let's see, I'll choose maybe this color right here and go for a little bit of subtleness. Now let's go ahead and click that. So that looks pretty cool. And let me show you another thing. If you open this back up, you'll notice that there's this kind of round slider thing. You can actually change the direction of your brush by moving this around. So if I want the brush strokes to come from the top like this, then I can do that. You can also change the size of the brush with the bracket keys, so I can make it larger or smaller. So for now, I think I'm going to call that good. Now I like to usually make my colors on separate layers, so I'm going to get another layer, and let's see what color. I'll go for this really dark red color here. And I'll do a few more watercolor brushes, perhaps this one, and I'll add some splashes of red. And you can see that the brushes some of them are transparent, and when they overlap, they make really, really beautiful color combinations. So just moving the orientation of this brush around. And I prefer to have a little bit of color on my face, but not too much, because I don't want to make it so busy that you can't tell who the person is. So that's nice to begin with. Now I'm going to change to a different sort of brush, and I'll do the floral brushes. Where did those go? So I will close this little menu. There we go. Go down to the florals, and perhaps I'll choose something like this, and I'm going to use my bracket keys to make it larger, and maybe I'll choose a dark magenta color and see how that looks. Alright, that's looking pretty good, and maybe I'll use this to flip it around a little bit more to this side up here, and maybe one more type of flower up in this corner a little bit. Okay, so this part is up to you. You just do whatever you want to make your image look interesting. Be sure to save your changes and turn in your projects so that you can get credit. That's it for this video.